Hi Shopee sellers, my name is Claudine and this is the Shopee University Advanced class.
Hi Shopee sellers! Welcome to Lesson 5 of the Advanced class. This is about escalating claims and ASF-ESF appeals. So today, ang i-discuss natin ay isa sa mga favorite topics ng sellers natin kasi marami silang in-escalate na claims issues such as missing, wrong, and damaged orders as well as appealing for discrepancies in shipping fee. So yun yung mga i-discuss natin, and aside from that, we will also give you tips, best practices on how to avoid these kinds of issues. So first, we will discuss what are claims. So si seller nalilitog siya minsan kung ano yung difference ng claims sa return and refund. So pag sinabi natin claims, ito yung gusto mag-claim ng compensation ni seller from the courier and Shopee kasi merong mga missing, wrong, or damaged items na na-receive siya upon return. So claims may be filed upon delivery. So, kapag na-receive the buyer is a damaged item, pwede na kayo agad mag-file ng claims, or upon return. So, hindi pa nakarating yung item kay buyer, tapos na RTS siya or return to seller, you can also file for claims upon return to you. Just remember na pwede kayo mag-file for claims for up to 25 days after the order has been tagged as delivered or returned. So, 25 days lang po yun. Pag lumagpas tayo doon, hindi na tayo pwedeng mag-request for claims from Shopee. So, ano nga ba yung difference between return, refund, and claims? Pag sinabi natin return and refund, this is between the buyer and the seller. So, si buyer pwede siyang mag-request ng return and refund kasi defective yung items niya, claiming na fake, pwede ring may missing sa loob or na-damage yung item pagdating sa kanya. So, hihingi siya ng compensation from the seller. And this one is mediated by Shopee kapag walang agreement si seller and buyer. So, si buyer kasi pwede siyang mag-propose ng refund amount, pwede rin na i-return niya yung item, pero kapag hindi pumayag si seller, si Shopee yung magde-decide nun through the dispute. So, next is the request is settled through the app. So, yung request ni buyer for return refund sa app siya manggagaling. And lastly, it involves compensating the buyer. So, si buyer yung mabibigyan ng pera. Yung claims naman, this is between the seller and the courier. So, babayaran natin si seller para dun sa item na na-damage sa kanya or nawala. Kasi, ang kiniklaim ni seller is si courier yung may kasalanan kung bakit nangyari yun. This is mediated by Shopee. So, actually, hindi si Shopee ang nagbabayad sa inyo. Si courier yung nagbabayad, pero kami yung nagre-raise ng claims issue sa courier. This one is reported to customer service for the unmanaged sellers, and then for managed sellers naman, since you have access to the seller operational concerns form or what we call the form stack, doon na kayo pwede mag-raise ng claims issues. And again, as I've said a while ago, this one involves compensating the sellers. So, yung ibang sellers, nalilito sila. So, kailan ko ba pwedeng i-accept yung return refund? Or kailan ba ako magpa-file ng claims? So, I have here prepared for you a simple chart that will show you kung ano ba yung pwedeng actions na gawin ninyo when you experience return and refunds that concerns missing, wrong, and damaged items. So, first step, so si buyer nag-request sa inyo ng return refund. Ano yung mga questions na itatanong yung sarili nyo? Yung unang itatanong nyo is the buyer's request valid? So, tingnan niyo muna, yung proof na sinend sa inyo ni buyer, is it missing, wrong, or damaged? Baka naman sinasabi niya kulang yung item na pinadala ninyo, pero yung in-order niya pala is that number of items lang talaga. So, check niyo muna kung valid siya. Kung hindi siya valid, of course, you have to reject the buyer's proposal. Kasi pag in-approve niyo yun, kayo yung mababawasan ng pera. So, make sure to reject it if hindi siya valid. Kung valid naman yung request ni buyer, next question would be, is it my shop's fault? So, fault ko ba kung bakit kulang yung na-receive niya? So, kung yes yung answer mo doon, fault mo as a seller, then you should accept the return and refund request if it's seller fault. So, tatanungin mo, whose fault is it? Kung hindi mo fault, is it the fault of the buyer? Is it the fault of the courier? Or hindi ka sure? So, kung sure ka na si buyer yung dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng damage, feeling mo nung na-receive niya, sa kanya nagkaroon ng damage, or may kinuha lang siya and nagpe-pretend siya na kulang yung items na na-receive niya, you have to reject it if you are sure that it is the buyer's fault. Now, if you're sure that it is the courier's fault, ang pwede nyong gawin is to consider accepting the return refund request. Pero, kailangan ipa-return nyo yung item from the buyer. Kasi ang gusto natin is ipa-return yung item, i-accept yung request ni buyer for refund, and then tsaka tayo magpa-file for claims. So, ang mangyayari doon is kinompensate natin si buyer, and then as seller, we are also asking for compensation from the courier. And then, kapag hindi naman tayo sure kung sino ba yung may fault, kung si buyer ba or si courier, pwede tayong mag-dispute muna para at least si Shopee yung magde-decide if fault ba ni courier or ni buyer. Ngayon, kapag yung result is in favor of the buyer, so ibig sabihin i-return yung item sa atin, we can just file for claims afterwards. Okay, so moving on to our next topic, it's about providing the proofs for the different claims issue. So ito yung kapag mag-raise na kayo ng claims sa ating couriers. So first is for missing or incomplete items. When we say missing or incomplete items, we are referring to partial loss of items. So for example, you shipped out 3 orders, ang nakarating kay buyer ay 2 items lang. So ibig sabihin may isang nawawala. Pag sinabi nating partial loss, ibig sabihin may nakarating pa rin kay buyer. Hindi siya totally nawawala na hindi natin alam kung nasan yung parcel. Kasi in those cases, that's already lost. Hindi siya missing. Okay, so we have 2 types of missing items. First one is incomplete number of items were received. So yun yung example natin kanina na 2 out of 3 lang yung na-receive ni buyer. And then the next type is yung packaging lang talaga mismo yung na-receive ni buyer. So for example, nag-ship out ka ng toy inside the box, pero pag dating kay buyer, yung box na lang, wala nang laman na toy. So those are some examples of missing items. So how do you file for claims for missing items? We need to provide the following proof. Number 1 is clear photo of the item or items before packaging and shipment as proof that they are complete. So as you can see in the picture, meron tayong before ship out photos of the items. Meron kang 3 boxes with items inside, and then meron pang another picture showing na meron talagang laman. So take a lot of photos with different angles para marami tayong proof. Next is clear photo of the item or items properly packed with readable airway bill. Very important na readable yung airway bill natin kasi hindi entertain ni courier yung request if hindi kita sa airway bill kung anong order ba yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Kasi pwede kayong mag-request ng claims and send photos, pero kung wala siyang airway bill, we won't be sure that that is the actual item that is in question. So make sure that when you send us photos, meron din kayong picture ng airway bill. Next is clear photo of the condition of the item or items and package upon receipt with readable airway bill again. So this one, ito yung nakarating na yung order pabalik sa inyong mga sellers, either RTS or pagkabalik ng item from the return of the buyer. So as you can see in the picture, yung item na sinip out natin kanina na may laman, ngayon, box na lang siya. So, yun yung kailangan natin ipakita sa picture. Ano yung naging condition or ano na yung na-receive nyo as sellers? Ano yung incomplete doon? And again, kailangan kita yung airway bill details. Next is a detailed description of the issue or concern. So, dito nyo na ilalagay lahat ng issues ninyo about the order. So, ano ba yung nawawala? Ano ba yung shinip out nyo in the first place? Paano nyo pinackage yung product? And ano yung items na na-receive ninyo at ano yung kulang? So, you have here an example on screen. So, in this case, si seller nagpadala siya ng 3 packs of milk tea. Pero, pagdating sa kanya, buyer said that the box was not wrapped in any plastic anymore, and upon opening, the winter melon and Okinawa packs were gone. So, isa lang yung nakarating kay buyer. So, kailangan ganito ka-detailed yung explanation natin para yung ating customer support na mag-evaluate ng claims, may intindihan agad kung ano yung kailangan natin i-raise kay courier. Okay, so this is the summary of the details that you need for missing items. Like what we mentioned, you need to provide for. Next is wrong or swapped items. Ito naman yung mga items na pagdating kay buyer, hindi siya yung item na shinip out natin originally. So, totally different items from what was shipped out. So, as sellers, you are claiming na tama yung pinadala ko kay buyer. Kung nag-ship out ako ng TV, tapos ang dumating kay buyer is a cellphone, then hindi ko nakasalanan yun kasi tama yung pinadala ko. Si courier yung nagka-mismatch, yung mali yung pinadala kay buyer. So that is wrong item. Right, so how to file for claims for wrong items? First proof that you have to provide is clear photo of the item or items before packaging and shipment as proof that they are correct. So, dito sa photos na to, I'm just saying na ito yung pinadala ko. Noodles siya, 2 packs. Next is how you properly package the item with the readable airway bill. So, same lang as before, yung photo before ship out with the packaging and airway bill. Next is photo of the package condition upon receipt with readable airway bill. So, dito natin makikita kung ano ba yung na-receive ninyo. And we also need a photo of the airway bill to make sure na ito yung na-receive ni buyer. Ito yung kiniklaim niya na na-receive niya at hindi siya tama. So, photo of the item received is the next one. So, kung ang pinadala kanina ni seller is packs of noodles, ang dumating sa kanya ngayon is payong. So, naging umbrella yung pinadala niya. So, wrong item received. And lastly, of course, is the detailed description of the issue or concern. So, dito nyo na ulit i-explain which item was shipped out, packaging condition, when shipped out, how the package was received, and which item was received. So, pwede kayong magreklamo dito na inalagaan ko tong parcel na to, ganitong way ko siya pinak, minake sure ko na tama yung nilagay ko sa loob. Pero pag receive ni buyer, ito na yung natanggap niya. So, kailangan nyo lang i-explain doon. Kasi kapag wala tayong explanation kung ano yung shinip out natin at kung ano yung na-receive ni buyer, baka mag-back and forth tayo sa customer service. So, make sure na detailed na siya agad the first time that you escalate the concern. So, this is a summary of what you need for wrong items. There are 5 in total. Now, we move on to damaged items. So, very common to, especially sa mga category na FMCG, yung mga food products, yung with liquids. So, prone to damages talaga siya. So, of course, you have to make sure na tama yung packaging natin, that we are following proper packaging guidelines. So, if items are no longer in good condition upon receipt by the buyer at kiniklaim natin na tama yung packaging natin ng items na yon, pwede tayong mag-file for damages. So, how to file for claims for damaged items? First is we need to provide proof through clear photos of the item or items before packaging and shipment. So, as you can see on screen, ito yung condition niya, buo siya, tsaka natin siya pinackage. So, next is clear photo of the airway bill, kasama ng packaging, of course, again, as proof that this is the actual item in question. Next is clear photo of the item or items properly packed with bubble wrap or other protective materials. So, kailangan natin ipakita kung paano natin inayos yung packaging ng item bago natin siya i-ship out. So, kung ang item mo ay babasagin, ilang rolls of bubble wrap ba yung nilagay mo doon, naglagay pa tayo ng fillers, and so on. So, this is to prove to the courier, ganito ko siya pinackage. And then, the photo of the parcel with the appropriate special label. So, kung fragile yung items yun, dapat may fragile sticker siya. So, in that case, yung mga nagre-request ng claims for damages for fragile items pero wala tayong fragile sticker, hindi natin siya may entertain because that is not following the proper packaging guidelines. So, kailangan talaga every time we ship out fragile items, meron tayong fragile marking and other applicable labels. So, next is clear photo of the package condition upon receipt with readable airway bill. So, kung makikita nyo, yung received item now has some parang rat bites or holes dun sa package. And this is what we need to show the courier to prove to them na nagkaroon ng damage upon transit dun sa papunta kay buyer. So, yung photo naman ngayon ng condition of the item upon receipt, yung nasa loob ng item. So, kung kanina pinakita natin, ito yung packaging condition, ipakita rin natin ngayon kung ano yung condition ng item upon receipt. And then, lastly, we also need description of the damaged item. So, i-describe ninyo, i-detail ninyo kung ano yung type of damage na nangyari dun sa item na sinip out nyo. So, pwede nyo sabihin, for example, na nag-ship out ako ng dishwashing liquid, 2 bote, nilagyan ko siya ng seal, tapos nirap ko pa siya ng cling wrap, binubble wrap ko pa yan, nilagay ko sa box, tapos binubble wrap ko ulit. Pero pagdating kay buyer, natapon na lahat ng dishwashing liquid. So, sure ako na courier fault na siya kasi finalo ko naman yung proper packaging guidelines. So, something like that. Just to make sure that we are explaining to the courier what kind of damage happened. So, this is a summary of the details that you need to provide for damaged items. Merong 7, pero basically, it's the same with missing and wrong items. Meron lang tayong extra needed details for those proper packaging guidelines that we should have followed. So, kung ano man yung materials na dapat natin ginamit, kailangan natin siyang i-provide. At yung mga labels, just to make sure and just to prove to the courier na inalagaan natin yung parcels before ship out. So, marami ding sellers na nagtatanong, medyo hassle kasi yung process ng pagte-take ng pictures. Pwede ba akong gumamit ng videos instead? So, our answer to that is yes. Although we recommend kasi yung pictures talaga kasi mas madali siya. Of course, we also know that it's kind of hassle na mag-take ng photos all the time, especially kung high volume yung orders natin. So, what you can do is to install CCTV cameras. Just make sure that you follow these guidelines para ma-make sure natin that those proofs will be accepted by Shopee and the courier. So, first thing that you have to consider is that your video should show clear proof of the items before they have been packed, protective materials and special markings used, and the final packaging. So, kung mapapansin nyo yung mga proof na hiningi natin kanina, it's always yung item and packaging before shipping out, after shipping out, and what are the materials that were used. Next is packaging details such as tracking numbers and the airway bills should be highly visible. So, kung yung airway bill natin sobrang layo doon sa camera or recorder, hindi na makikita yung details. So, we have to make sure na kitang-kita siya doon sa airway bill so that it's kind of the same quality as what we submit when we use photos. Next, videos are of good quality. So, hindi naman tayo nagre-require ng sobrang mamahal na devices. Pero, we would want to recommend na kailangan lang maganda yung quality na nakukuha ng device natin para makuha yung clear tracking number and clear footages of what we ship out and receive. And then, take note of any obstructions which may affect the quality of images and videos. So, kung meron kang CCTV, tama nga yung pagkaka-install niya, pero meron namang nakaharang. So, hindi rin natin magagamit yung ganong kinds of proof. So, steps for taking quality videographic proof. First one is allocate a clear, sufficient, and well-lit space for the packaging area. So, since we are dealing with footages, kailangan nakikita yung parcels natin. Pwede namang natural lighting, di naman kailangan mag-set up kayo ng ring light every time meron kayong CCTV footages na ito-turn on or kukunin. So, kailangan lang na meron kang sufficient space na kita kung ano man yung kukunin na video. Next is configure the CCTV or camera to determine the best settings that will allow footages to be captured clearly. So, wala nga tayong recommended na types of devices. So, kayo po yung bahala na bumili ng sarili nyong CCTV or camera and i-configure na rin natin yung settings to get the best quality of the videos. Next is position or install the CCTV or camera near the packaging area at a distance that can capture footages of the item before and after packing, as well as highly readable airway bill. So, yung packaging area natin would depend from seller to seller. Meron mga seller nasa warehouse, nasa office, or nasa bahay lang sila. So, kayo na yung mag-measure ng tamang distance na makaka-capture ng maayos yung items natin at saka yung airway bill. And then next, before packing, hold up each product in front of the camera for at least 3 seconds to show that the items are in good condition. So, pwedeng ipakita natin yung item doon sa camera para makita yung packaging condition before natin siya i-ship out. Next is securely package the item using whatever packaging materials you have like bubble wrap, seal, and other protective materials. So, pinapakita natin sa video na ganitong paraan natin siya ni-wrap. Next is attach special labels katulad ng fragile sticker, this side up, and so on. So, kailangan din natin yun ipakita sa camera for at least 3 seconds para pag pinost ni courier yung footage, makikita niya yung tracking number. Next is stick the shipping label to the parcel and hold up the final packaging in front of the camera for at least 3 seconds. So, ito na yung finished product, and then with the airway bill, i-rotate natin siya sa camera, pakita natin na ito na yung finished product na i-ship out ko. And then, when submitting proof, trim, upload, and submit only portions relevant to the filed claim. So, baka naman meron tayong 20-hour video, pero isang item lang pala yung isa-submit natin for claim. So, pwedeng i-cut na natin yung footage para mas mabilis din makakapag-review yung couriers natin. So, a while ago, I mentioned na yung missing items, it's different from lost orders. So, ano yung gagawin natin kung lost orders naman yung ma-encounter natin? So, for lost orders, once it's tagged by Shopee, automatic babayaran na tayo ni Shopee for that. So, maghintay lang tayo ng 1 to 2 days after lost tagging, and then we can check it out in seller balance kung nabayaran na tayo. So, if hindi naman matag as lost, we can ask for assistance from Shopee to track where our parcels are. So, pwede tayong mag-ask ng follow-up delivery, or pwede rin nating i-check with the couriers kung nasa na yung parcel. So, kung si courier naman yung magsabi mismo na hindi pa nila mahanap yung item or lost na siya, pwede rin tayong mag-claim ng compensation. So, just report it to Shopee kapag sinabihan tayo ni courier na nawala nila yung items natin. Okay, so I have certain reminders for you whenever you are filing for claims. First one is approval for claims may take 5 to 7 business days from the date of escalation. So, hindi automatic na kapag nag-pass kayo sa amin ng concern today, bukas may sagot na kami. Kasi pinapasa pa natin yan sa couriers at sila yung gagawa ng investigation. So, basically, si Shopee, naghihintay rin siya ng update from the couriers. Next, claims without proof will not be accepted kapag nagbigay kayo sa amin, especially kung kulang yan or wala kayong pinrovide at all. Kasi wala din kaming mape-present kay courier na proof na kayo yung tama. So, kailangan lagi tayong may proof na ipe-present. Next is give complete and correct details. Meron kaming mga na-encounter na instances na mali yung order. Kunwari, ito yung order ID na binigay ni seller. Tapos, iba yung order ID na yun sa nakalagay sa airway bill. So, may ganong types of instances that are incorrect, and then meron ding incomplete. So, meron kang ang picture ng item before ship out, wala ka namang photo of item upon receipt. So, paano natin mako-compare yung before and after? So, make sure that everything that you pass is complete and correct. Next is, do not submit duplicate entries. Again, as what we mentioned in lesson 4, kapag nagsasubmit tayo ng duplicate entries, mas lalong tumatagal yung process. So, kailangan kapag nag-pass tayo, just make sure that we are monitoring kung nag-send na ba ng update si Shopee through email. So, check na lang natin yung emails natin from time to time. Next is payment for approved claims will be refunded to your seller balance. So, kapag naka-receive tayo ng update from Shopee na in-approve na ni courier yung claims request natin, yung claims request na yon, yung bayad sa atin, mapupunta siya sa seller balance. Payment is made to seller balance on subsequent Tuesday or Thursday post-claim approval. So, lagi siyang next Tuesday or next Thursday. Kung hindi nyo siya na-receive within that week, pwede tayong mag-ask ng follow-up through our account managers. And lastly, claims are subjected to investigation. Again, kaya tayo humihingi ng proof kasi ipapa-investigate natin kay courier kung sino ba talaga yung nagkamali. And as sellers, we always want to provide the best proof to make sure that we are telling the courier na pinalo ko lahat ng guidelines ni Shopee in terms of packaging and all, and si courier yung may mishandling. So, subject to approval siya, let's not assume na when we pass our cases, mababayaran tayo agad. We have to do our part as sellers to ensure that we are able to provide proof as well. So next, we turn to ASF-ESF discrepancy. So ano ba yung ASF and ESF? So ASF is actual shipping fee. Ito yung china-charge ni courier sa items natin after they have pick up the items. And ESF naman is estimated shipping fee. Ito yung binabayaran ni buyer. So, meron certain reasons kung bakit nagkakaroon ng discrepancies yung items. So first is, seller didn't input the dimension of the product. Yung ESF natin, yung estimated shipping fee, it's based on whichever is higher between the actual and dimensional weight. So kung mali yung in-enter natin na dimensions or actual weight, magkakamali din si Shopee sa pag-compute ng shipping fee na dapat hinihingi natin sa buyer. So make sure that you enter the correct parcel dimensions. Next is seller inputs no dimensions or wala talagang length, width, and height yung item. So, sa mga ganong kind of instances, kasi yung seller sanay sa paggamit ng pouch na as long as 5 kilograms yung item, okay lang. Hindi na kasi siya pwede ngayon dahil naka-own packaging na tayo. So, make sure na meron tayong dinedeclare kasi yung shipping fee, as I've said a while ago, is dependent on whichever is higher between the actual weight and dimensional weight. Kailangan both fields meron kapag naglilist tayo ng item. And also make sure that when you are measuring the items before declaring them on seller center, kasama yung packaging. Kasi 'di ba si courier kapag kinuha niya yung item sa atin at kapag mine-measure na niya, meron na siyang kasamang packaging eh. So dapat as sellers, when you declare your items in seller center, may kasama na rin pong packaging yung items ninyo. So next reason for shipping fee overcharge is actual pickup address is different from the default pickup address. So when the buyer checks out the items, for example, umorder siya from Quezon City, and then you as seller, ang pickup address na nakaset ay Parañaque. So ang shipping fee computation is based on the distance between the seller and the buyer. So yung distance ng Quezon City and Parañaque and also the weight of the item. So kung mag-change tayo ng pickup address while we are booking for pickup, may possibility na magkaroon ng discrepancy. So for example, yung original pickup address natin is in Parañaque, tapos change natin yung pickup location to Bulacan. So sobrang layo nun, hindi siya within the same geographic area. So magbabago yung shipping fee, magiging Bulacan to Quezon City na siya instead of Parañaque to Quezon City. So that's also one of the main contributors to shipping fee overcharge. So make sure when you are booking your pickup, i-consider natin kung ano yung default pickup address na nakaset sa seller center. Or if kailangan talaga nating palitan yung location ng ating pickup, as much as possible, let's try to make it the same in the same geographic location as the original pickup address para hindi magkaroon ng overcharge. So how does Shopee mitigate the issue? So we know na hindi naman siya seller fault at all times. So right now, what we are doing is that we flag the orders na merong unusually high shipping fees and then we report it to the couriers right away. Tina-flag na natin sila and then pinapagawa na natin sa kanila yung investigation before tayo mag-deduct ng shipping fee from the sellers, dun sa income ni seller. So you can expect that there will be certain delays in the crediting of your money kasi gumagawa pa nga tayo ng certain investigations. But this is for you sellers para at least hindi na tayo magsasuffer sa kakasubmit ng ASF-ESF appeals. Okay, so if in that case, kunwari nagkaroon ng shipping fee overcharge or nag-conduct na ng investigation si Shopee pero hindi siya in favor to us and gusto pa rin nating mag-appeal, we can do so by raising a concern in the seller operational concerns form. Or kung hindi naman tayo managed seller, pwede kayo mag-raise ng concern sa customer service. So make sure lang na before tayo mag-file ng appeal, ay dineclare talaga natin yung correct product weight and dimension sa seller center. So kung upon checking wala talaga tayong dineclare na dimensions of the product, talo na tayo kaagad. So kailangan i-check muna natin kung magiging valid ba yung concern in the first place. Let's also make sure na hindi natin pinalitan yung default pickup address because as we mentioned a while ago, that is a cause for overcharge. Next is, seller did not offer any shipping fee discounts. So baka naman nagbigay tayo ng discount or sinagot natin yung shipping fee ni buyer, kaya tayo nabawasan ng income. So i-check din natin, i-double check natin kung meron tayong mga promotions regarding shipping fees. Next is, when filing for an appeal, let's make sure to pass it within 25 business days, Monday to Saturday, after the order has been tagged as delivered. Kasi makikita natin yung overcharge kapag natag na siya as delivered. Kasi yun yung point na ibibigay na sa atin ni Shopee yung payment. So, kailangan within 25 business days siya. Kung meron man tayong mga processes within our shops na every end of the month lang tayo nag-audit or every 3 months, which is not very advisable, let's consider na changing the process or at least making it more frequent. Kasi kung meron man tayong mga appeals tapos nag-run na yung 25 days, hindi na natin siya may entertain kung dumampa siya ng period na yun. And then, you can reach out to customer service and to your relationship managers or key account managers if meron pa tayong questions or need further assistance. So what are the details for investigation that we need in order to forward your appeals? First is the affected order ID or order ID. So ano ba yung mga orders na nagkaroon ng shipping fee discrepancies? And what are the tracking numbers of those order IDs? So for example, nag-pass tayo ng 10 order IDs na merong discrepancies. Ano yung 10 tracking numbers na corresponding ng orders na yun? Next is quantity of items affected. So, kung kunwari in one order, merong 3 items sa loob, i-declare natin na 3 yung items sa loob ng order. And then, we also have to give the declared dimensions in centimeters. So, kung ano yung dineclare natin na dimensions in seller center. So, this has to be in centimeters and your declared actual weight as well. So, this one is in kilograms. So, aside from that, we also need to provide 4 photos for investigation. So, this is to prove to the couriers na tama yung pag-measure natin ng items. So, first is a clear photo of the item with packaging being measured for its length using a measuring tape. So, makikita nyo naman sa example na ito yung item, naka-bubble wrap na siya, and then ito yung length niya. Next is, again, a clear photo of the item being measured for its width naman. So, again, this is with packaging. And lastly, it's the same, yung photo of the item being measured for its height in centimeters. And lastly, a picture of the item being measured for its actual weight. So, since kilograms yung gusto natin na weight, we can use whatever measuring device as long as it's in kilograms. Or kung hindi naman, that's converted na lang when we declare kung ano man yung actual weight ng item. So, same as when forwarding any type of picture, kailangan kitang-kita yung details para ma-make sure natin na tama rin yung nare-record na values. So, what are the best practices para ma-prevent natin yung mga claims issues, yung mga ASF-ESF discrepancies? So, first is how to avoid damages. Of course, yung pinaka-practical na way to avoid damages is to follow proper packaging guidelines. Marami tayong articles sa Seller Education Hub na magtuturo sa inyo ng tamang way kung paano nyo pwedeng i-package yung items nyo, depende sa kung anong category yan nagpo-fall under. So, some tips. So, if we are using a pouch, kailangan 5 kilograms lang yung ilalagay natin sa loob. Kasi kung masyado siyang mabigat, baka masira yung pouch or ibalik din siya sa atin ni standard delivery kasi nag-exceed siya doon sa maximum amount dapat. So, malaki yung possibility na ma-RDS siya. And lalo na kung hindi naman talaga kasya tapos pinipilit natin. Malaki kasi yung chance na madamage yung items pag ganun. And then, kung own packaging naman, make sure that you are using the right packaging size for your item. So, right box dapat. Kailangan hindi sobrang laki ng space sa loob kasi baka mabunggo-bunggo yung items, gagalaw-galaw siya while in transit. So, kailangan right size siya. And also, kapag masyadong malaki yung packaging material na ginamit nyo, of course, malaki din yung shipping fee noon. Next is use at least 2 rolls of bubble wrap. So, para to dun sa mga normal items natin. Of course, mas marami tayong kailangan gamitin kapag fragile yung items. Next is fill in your packages with adequate inner filling material, especially kung gagalaw-galaw yung item sa loob. Pwede naman yung mga scratch paper lang para at least hindi na rin tayo gumastos ng masyadong malaki para dun sa mga fillers. Next is, of course, para maka-avoid ng damages kung fragile yung items, again, i-declare natin na fragile siya. Maglagay tayo ng mga special markings sa labas ng packages. Not only for fragile items, meron ding mga special instructions or label na pwede tayong ilagay sa labas para magkaroon ng special handling yung packages natin. So, pwedeng may this side up, keep from heat, handle with care. So, yung mga ganun. Special reminders lang siya for our riders. Okay, so for maximum strength, kailangan gamitin natin yung H-shape taping. So, ito yung nare-recommend natin at ito rin yung ginagamit ng logistics providers. So, H-shape, basically yun yung gagawin mong letter when you are sealing your boxes para at least lahat ng openings mako-cover siya. Next is for high-value products. We recommend that you attach a security seal marking. So, for example, if this seal is broken, do not accept delivery of goods. So, ibig sabihin kasi nun may tampering na nangyari dun sa parcel. So, kapag may ganito, at least mas masasecure din natin or yung buyers din natin, alam nila na may tampering if nawala or nasira yung seal na yun. Next is use special labels, which are eye-catching and easily visible for special products, especially fragile items. So, meron tayong examples that you can see on screen. Special markings yan para malaman ng courier kung paano ba i-handle yung products natin. And then lastly, do not disclose items packed inside the parcel. So, ako personally, pag umu-order ako, meron akong na-receive na mga packages na nakalagay sa labas kung ano yung nasa loob. So, that's okay siguro kung yung items natin hindi masyadong mahal. Pero kung mga electronics items yan, medyo delikado kapag dinideclare natin sa labas. Kasi, syempre, it's very tempting not only for the riders, pero kung sino man yung makakita ng parcel. So, wag nating i-declare kung ano yung nasa loob kasi baka magkaroon ng temptations to, have the items stolen. Next is always be ready with proof. So, kanina na-mention natin, kailangan lagi tayo may proof of items before ship out, upon return of the item to you sellers, upon RTS. So, return is for buyers. RTS is if your logistics providers give back the items to you. And, lagi lang natin tatandaan na kailangan meron tayong proof na yan para makapag-file ng claims. Kapag wala, sorry, hindi natin mababayaran yung parcel na yun or yung package na yun. And also, of course, clearly describe the issue. So, kailangan lagi tayong elaborate. Huwag nating tipirin yung pag-explain kasi baka doon tayo matagalan. Next is for ASF-ESF discrepancies. So, para lang tama yung computation ng ESF, dapat meron tayong actual weight and the dimensions of the parcels in centimeters. Kasi doon natin i-compute yung dimensional weight ng item. Next, kailangan i-package muna natin yung items bago natin i-measure at i-declare sa seller center. Kasi nga, kapag si courier, mineasure niya yung items, with packaging na siya. So, kailangan ganun din yung practice natin whenever we are declaring items in seller center. So, as you can see in the picture, kasama na dapat yung bubble wrap, or kung may box man yan, kasama na dapat yung box. Dapat hindi natin minimeasure yung item itself lang, kasi madadagdagan pa siya ng weight and dimensions with the packaging. Next is measure and package multiple items correctly. So, marami din tayong mga discrepancies resulting from improper packaging of multiple items. So, whenever we are packaging multiple items, dapat i-consider natin kung paano natin dineclare sa seller center yung dimensions ng items. So, paano nga ba tayo dapat mag-measure at mag-declare ng multiple items sa seller center? So, dapat, kung marami tayong items in one order, yung sum of actual weights yung kukunin natin. So, for example, meron tayong phone and then may free power bank siya and meron pang free earphones. So, kailangan kunin natin yung sum of the actual weights of those items. Next is for dimensional weight, kukunin natin yung maximum length, maximum width, and sum of the heights. Tapos, yun yung i-declare natin sa seller center. So, bakit nga ba kailangan na kapag nagde-declare tayo ng multiple items, kinukuha natin yung maximum length, maximum width, and sum of the heights? Here we have an example of a computation of the shipping fee for multiple items. So, as you can see, meron tayong tatlong items, magkakaiba yung weight niya and dimensions. So, if we are computing for the actual weight, of course, i-add lang natin yung sum of the actual weights of the item. Pero for dimensions, ang gagawin natin, yung computation niya magiging maximum length times maximum width times the sum of the heights divided by 3,500. If we do that, yung result would be 21.43. And then yung sum of the actual weights will be 20 kilograms. So between the actual and dimensional weight, mas malaki yung dimensional weight natin. So ngayon, since mas malaki yung dimensional weight natin, of course, yun yung magiging basis ng estimated shipping fee. So that is the reason why kailangan tama yung dinedeclare natin sa seller center. So, paano natin gagamitin yung insight na yon when we are packaging our items? So, since ang kinukuha natin is sum of the actual heights, kailangan pag nag-fulfill tayo ng multiple items, yung height ng package natin is the same as the sum of the heights of the item. So, kung makikita nyo dito, meron tayong 3 examples of how we can package multiple items. So, sa una, ang ginawa ni seller, pinagdugtong-dugtong na yung item. So, pinakamalaki, katabi niya yung second na pinakamalaki, and then next is pinakamaliit. So, kung kunin natin to, yung length ng item, yung length ng parcel, mag-e-exceed siya dun sa dineclare natin na maximum length. Kung ang gamitin naman natin na packaging is the one on the right, which is yung big item, stinak natin yung medium-sized and small item, mag-e-exceed naman yung width niya. So, ang tamang way to do it is to follow na yung pinakamalaking item nasa baba hanggang sa pinakamaliit para nasusunod natin yung maximum length, yung maximum width, at yung sum of the heights of the parcels. So, yung nasa gitna, yung tamang way of how we should package multiple items. Please make sure to remember that kasi marami tayong sellers na nagkakaroon ng discrepancies, especially for this. Kasi hindi nila natitake into consideration kung paano ba nila dineclare yung items nila sa seller center. Kung ano yung sa tingin nilang packaging, yun na yung ginagawa nila. So, let's always remember na si courier magbe-base din siya kung ano yung actual na itsura ng item na hinandover natin sa kanila. One more tip to avoid discrepancies, especially if you are fulfilling using pouches, maglaan lang tayo ng space for the airway bill. Huwag masyadong extra. Kasi kapag merong extra space, kapag nilagay yan sa loob ng machines, minsan yung machines natin nade-detect din yung extra spaces, and then of course meron siyang corresponding charge. So yung space na ilalagay natin sa packages natin or sa pouches natin, kailangan sakto lang siya for the airway bill. Next is when fulfilling irregular items, we recommend that we use a box. So, as seller, syempre mag-invest na rin tayo sa mga packaging materials. So, we have an example here kung especially yung fragile yung items natin, lagay natin siya sa box para mas madali din siyang i-measure sa seller center. Kasi meron tayong cases na yung item is irregular, for example, a mop, and then yung dinedeclare lang ni seller is the mop head, hindi kasama yung stick. Which, if we use dimensional weight to compute for the shipping fee, mag-exceed talaga siya kasi malaki yung space na kino-cover niya sa couriers natin, sa vans nila. So, kailangan tama yung pag-declare natin and tama rin yung pag-package natin dun sa items. So, ayun, as much as possible, let's use a box when fulfilling irregular items. Lastly, don't change the default pickup address whenever you are booking your orders for pickup. Kasi nga po, kapag masyadong magkalayo yung default pickup address and yung address na sinelect natin when we are shipping out the order, magkakaroon talaga siya ng discrepancy. Kasi ang basis natin for the ESF is the location of the buyer and seller nung nag-order si buyer from seller given the default pickup address. So, let's make sure not to change anything as much as possible. So those are the tips that we have for you sellers. Hopefully, magawa natin siya sa mga shops natin to prevent yung mga claims and ASF-ESF discrepancies. So, I hope that you also learned a lot today. And if you want to have a copy of our material in the form of handouts, please scan the QR code and give us a feedback. So, yung mga magbigay lang po sa atin ng feedback, yung bibigyan natin ng handouts. So, make sure also that you are part of our community. So, please join the Shopee University Facebook group. So, this is where you can also join our games and connect with other sellers. So, please scan the QR code to join Shopee University Facebook group. We also have Viber, where you can see our latest announcements, especially kapag may mga DTS extensions, mga errors that we should be taking note of, and what to do about them. So, sa Viber natin yan makikita. And if we are more comfortable with Chinese trainings and escalating our concerns in Chinese, you can also join our WeChat group. Thank you so much, sellers, for attending this training. I'll see you again for Lesson 6.